So this is the 5x7 that we're going to work with. The background has already been painted, and I will explain how I painted the background. And I have a nugget for her head. And then I took a water pencil and I drew a pattern on here. Don't know if you can see that, but there's a slight blue line right here, and that is for her dress. And then there is a blue line here, and that is for her wings. So this is the pattern that we're going to use tonight. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do is we want to put modeling paste on here, and to do that I want to make sure I put a thin layer on here. I don't want it thick because I need it to dry. I'm going to have to use a hair dryer to dry it. And then the other thing is, if you put it on thick, sometimes it'll crack, and I don't want it to crack. So I just want a thin layer on my dress. So to do that, I am using Master's Touch modeling paste for this. And I am just going to get some on the back of my palette knife, and I am going to smooth it on where my dress is. So I'm just going to smooth it down, and there is a gnat in here. Always a gnat in here when I'm working on resin. So I am just going to get my outline, and once I have it on here, then I can create my texture. I'm not worried about some of the blue showing through because my dress is going to be blue. So I'm not real concerned about that. So I'm just following my pattern lines, and I want to make sure I cover up my lines. Just a little bit. See the back of my palette knife? It's like buttering a knife on the back side, and there is the gnat. Oh, got him. Yay. All right, so I'm buttering my knife and spreading it on here, just like buttering toast. Okay, just like so. There we go. Get it a little thinner. It's kind of thick right there, so I want to thin it down a little bit, just because I just don't want it really thick. I'm looking for texture, but not heavy. Not a real heavy texture, just lines. Smoothing it out, spreading it out. All right, now I'm going to get a little bit and come up here where the neck is and make sure I have the neckline of my dress covered all the way over to my wings, like so. So there we go. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to create some lines, and then down here at the end I just want some, I want it to be rough, like it's kind of flapping in the wind, like the edge of the end of her dress is not a straight line. It's kind of wavy and flowing. So there we go. Let me get a little bit more right here so I can cover up this line. There we go. So that is what I'm after right here. All right. So that's it. Now I've got to dry this before I paint it. So I'm going to wipe my knife off, put that in my water. This is water cleanup to use this. So put that out of the way. All right, so I am going to dry this with my hair dryer, and then I will paint it, and I'll talk about the background and all the things that I did. And I see a place right here that I want to kind of smooth out a little bit. It's kind of bumpy, pity looking, so I want to get it smooth. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn the hair dryer on, so bear with me for just a minute while I dry this. I think that's pretty dry. It's not really dry. Let me try it a little more. Sorry. All right. Now I'm going to paint this, and the colors I'm going to use, the background, what I did is I painted the background with this ice blue metallic paint by Folk Art, and then over the top of that I put Anita's white metallic paint, and I just did kind of a crisscrossy kind of background, just so it's kind of, it's not super smooth, but it's got some color and some texture to it. So I'm going to use those paints in my dress as well as a darker blue. So I'm going to put a little bit of this Anita's white on my canvas, on my palette. And here is a little bit of this ice blue. I don't need much, just a little bit. And then I am going to use blue sapphire as an accent color on my dress. So I'm going to put a little bit of this on here. Don't need much, just a little bit. And then gold for her halo. So this gold that I'm using is called Splendid Gold, and it's also by Art. This is by Art Deco. These metallics, the blue metallics, were by Folk Art. So there we go. There's that. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to wet my brush and wipe off the excess water on a paper towel over here. And then my first layer is going to be this pearl color. And so I'm just going to cover this whole thing with pearl paint. This will be kind of the undercoat of my dress. So this is the base. Just like I did the background. The background has this color on it as the base. Just get it an even coat on here, get the whole thing covered, is all I'm doing. Then down here at the ends, I just want to kind of wisp my paint out from my edges. So I have a little bit of kind of a wispy look to the end of my dress. There we go. Alright, so now I have a base coat on there. Now the next coat, using this same dirty brush, I'm not even going to wipe my brush off. I am going to use this dark blue, and I'm going to put this on here. Now this is kind of an in-your-face blue. It's sapphire blue. It's really, really bright and really shiny. And so this is kind of my middle color. Then I'm going to tone it down with the ice blue color. There we go. I'm not really worried about it being, if it's streaky, it's okay. I think it gives the dress a little more texture. If my paint's a little on the streaky side, it's going to be okay. So I am just going to wisp this down here at the end, just like I did the other color. So it's not just even at the bottom. It looks like it's blowing in the wind. That's my goal. My modeling paste is not quite dry, but I think it's going to be all right. I think it'll be dry by the time we get to resin. If not, we'll dry it a little more. Okay, I rinsed off my brush just a little bit. I didn't like rinse it completely out. And now I'm going to take this light blue and I'm just going to brush it over the top just to tone down this darker blue. Just a little bit. Just wisp it on here. And it gives it another layer of shine and dimension. So my brush has still got a little bit of that dark on it, but that's okay, because I'm looking for a streaky dress, not a solid color. There we go, like so. All right. And now I'm going to let that dry just a second. While that's drying, I'm going to get a small brush. This is a number 3 round brush. I'm going to wet it just a little bit, rinse it off, and I'm going to put her halo on. Now her head is going to go right here, like this, and so I want her halo back here. And so her halo is just basically a line. And I might need to do it a couple of times to get it thick enough where it shows up. There we go. So now she has a halo. So that is, her dress is all painted. That's done. And I'm going to put another little touch of this right here because it looks a little dark to me. And down here. Just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. So what do y'all think so far? Does she look good? All right. So now the next thing I want to do is I am going to add this opal glitter medium over the top. And by doing that, it creates this iridescent kind of look like this on this dress. So hopefully, let me see if you can see it. You see how that's got kind of iridescent, glittery sparkle look? That's what that medium does. So I'm going to put that over the top of this. And I'm just going to do it with a brush. It doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be a lot. So I am going to clean my brush. Oops, my brush just came apart. That's not good. I'm going to clean my brush. And I'm just going to get a little bit of this on my brush and brush it on here. Like this. So now she will have a little extra layer of sparkle. On her dress, which is what I was after. Okay, so there we go. What do y'all think? Does that look good? Oops. There we go. So now she is all sparkly and ready for wings, except that I need to dry it a little bit. So I'm going to get this out of the way so I don't blow it all over the place. And get this out of the way. Don't need this anymore. All right, so I'm going to take the dryer, so bear with me again for just a minute. Take her head off so I don't lose her head. And dry this just a little bit. Okay, I don't know if that's dry. Nope, it's not dry. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put the glass on here for her wings and glue that down. And then if this is not dry, then I'll put resin on it tomorrow rather than keeping you guys here tonight while this tries to dry. So that'll be our plan for tonight. So the next thing we want to do is I'm going to put some glass on here for her wings. All right, there is a faint blue line right here, and it goes like that. So I'm going to take some glue, and I'm going to put this on here. And while I am gluing this, and all this is this is just going to create a line for my glass to stay within, kind of like a little barrier for my glass. So that's all that is, and I'm just using Aleene's clear tacky glue, just cheap. Any kind of clear glue will work. It doesn't have to be expensive glue, and you just want to make sure that it dries clear, and you don't need a lot. So I just created a little line for that. All right, so what I'm using tonight for her wings is this right here. And this is from Michael's. It's decorative vase filler, and it's called Christmas Noel. It's kind of a iridescent glass, almost looks like shells. I'm not real sure what this is. It doesn't say if it's glass or shells or whatever. I will tell you this, that I bought a bag of this because I was looking for something else, and I didn't know if it was going to work, so I bought a bag. And it's not going to work for the other project that I was going to use it on. But I love the iridescent look of it. So I washed it. And when I washed it, I put it on a towel to dry, put it through a sifter, a strainer to get any dust or small little bits out, which I didn't see any, but just to be sure it was clean. And I laid it on a towel to dry. And when it was dry, I went over to get it off to put it in a container so I would have it to use. And it was stuck to the towel, and it was stuck to itself. It was like it all stuck together. So I started moving around. It was still a little bit damp. It wasn't completely dry. So I started moving it around to unstick it from itself and get everything separated. And then I looked at my hands, and I had paint on my hands. So if it's wet, the paint comes off on your hands. Not a lot, but a little bit. It's dry, so that doesn't happen. So I am concerned that when I put this resin on this, that it may bleed a little bit. But it's an iridescent look, and so the back or kind of a shiny metallic iridescent kind of look to it. See how sparkly it is? So if it does bleed, it's going to bleed on my metallic background, and I'm not real concerned about that. It may look more like an aura around her wings. So I'm not real concerned that if it does that it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to put this on here and shape it into the shape of her wings. Get it off of her dress. So there will be a line right here, right along her dress, and then the shape of her wings. Now, while I'm doing this, let me tell you that this Saturday, we are teaching a stained glass sun catcher class. And in that class, you don't have to have any experience at all. You will learn to cut glass, grind glass, copper foil it, solder it, patina it if you want to put patina on it, polish it, and hang it. You will learn all of that in the class. The class is scheduled for the whole day, so you have plenty of time. Different people work at different paces, so I didn't want it to be like you felt like you were rushed, like you had to finish by 3 o'clock or something. So I want to make sure everybody had plenty of time to finish it. You will have a choice of patterns, or if you have a pattern, something that you want to make, you can certainly bring that with you. I do ask that if you bring a pattern that you limit it to no more than 5 pieces. Oops, that is not dry. Fix that. that you limit your piece to no more than 5, that you limit your sun catcher to no more than 5 pieces of glass, because you're learning how to cut and that kind of thing, and I want to make sure that you're not overwhelmed with a complicated pattern. So that is Saturday, starts at 10. I provide all the materials, all the tools, the instruction, all of that kind of thing. So you just come ready to have a good time. We will have a 1-hour break for lunch. So you can either bring your lunch if you want to, or you can go to a local restaurant. So we'll have an hour lunch break in the class, during the class. So you get a break. You don't have to sit here and do glass for 8 hours. If you struggle and you have a problem with something and you just can't get it, we will certainly be glad to help you, so that you get it and you're happy with the outcome. Okay, there are my wings. So basically what I've done is I have taken this glass and I just filled in the area that I put glue around. So that will be her wings. And this modeling paste is not dry. So I really don't want to put resin over the top of wet modeling paste. So I think what I will do is I'll let you see what she looks like before resin. So this is what she looks like. So here's her dress. And her dress is metallic paints, and she has modeling paste under it, which created the texture. I don't know if you can see the texture on her dress, but there are lines of texture on her dress. And then I use this glass from Michaels. It's a vase filler for her wings, and she has a clear nugget, and then her halo is gold. So this is my angel. I don't anticipate that she is going to take she's probably going to take about an ounce of resin, but I really don't want to resin her until she's completely dry. So I think what I'll do is not put the resin on tonight, and I will put it on tomorrow, and maybe I'll videotape putting the resin on so you guys can see how much I use and that kind of thing. So